Alright, got the bottom end together on this guy, and now I'm just showing how to put all the right side internals in, starting with the kick shaft assembly. Oh, but first, I noticed that they'd taken the retainer off, so what we're going to have to do is apply just a little bit of red Loctite to this guy. Just a little bit. We don't want anything backing out in there and causing more problems than we already have on this guy. So, pinhole in one, bolt in the other. And then we're just going to ugga-dugga this one in. Ta-da! In there. And now for this guy. Just remember that this part right here is going to be on this side of this guy. Make it a little easier for you. And then you're going to take this guy and apply some tension to him. And put him down on that side. Cha-cha. So, quick and easy. Now, for this one, I'm just going to make sure this is the right one because we had a lot of pieces. Yes, it's the right one. So, this guy in the parts diagram shows it has 2 snap rings, but this shaft only has a slot for 1. And I'm assuming this one has to go behind it for everything to line up because that's the way it looks. So we're going to put our little snap ring in using some snap ring pliers. Just give him a little push, edge him into his home. Ta-da, he's there. And now we're going to set this guy up, see how it looks. That looks perfect. Everything's lining up there. There's going to be a spacer back here for the clutch. But there. So there's no room for another snap ring right there. And from the looks of this, it just rides. You know, that's going to need some work. As for these guys' retainers, these were also removed because the bearing had to be replaced. A little bit of red Loctite. Get them somewhat started. A little bit of red Loctite. Somewhat started. Fuck, it's too early for a drink. Alright, sending them down with the ugga-duggas. Ta-da! In place. And now for this guy, he's got an O-ring that goes behind him. Let me put the cap on this red Loctite real fast before I make a mess. He's got an O-ring that goes behind him. Just going to slide that guy in place. He'll push him down the rest of the way. Don't forget your keeper. When I put the keepers on, I usually tilt the taller edge towards the back because it just assists with installing this guy. You know what? We should probably add some lube to that too to help with install. So we don't want to damage that crank seal. We'll have running issues in the future if we do. Just a little bit. I'm just going to put it all around the edge of this and try and get some on the edge of that lip too, along with the shaft. Now, just line up that groove with your keyway. I pushed them out. I want to keep an eye on that too. If you push it out, it's not going to go in. Okay, you want to be a pain in the ass? We'll do this the hard way, which is not all that hard. Come on! Ah, pushed him out. I'm gonna leave that guy off for now. I don't want it to damage the seal, so pull this guy back off. And it actually looks like I have a burr on this that I'm gonna have to take care of first. I didn't notice this until I went to install it. Yep, that's gonna hinder us from installation. So give me 1 second while I run a file across this to smooth that edge out that's got the damage on it. I'll be right back. Alright, got them all filed down nice and smooth. We just had a little burr on this one edge that's just keeping us from installing this, so try this again. Just line up our grooves. Now we're getting to that spot where it wants to pop off. Maybe a little persuasion. So we got the persuasion. push this guy right off the edge. It wants to kick back up again. I'm not going to let it. There we go. Just make sure that seal isn't folding inwards. And no, it's doing pretty good. Let's a few more tippity taps. And ta-da! And now for this guy, which I did not get the socket and impact out for. So I'll be right back. Alright, got the socket and impact. We're just going to add a little bit of red Loctite to this one as well. We don't want any chances of anything backing off in there. Just throw your concave washer on, tall surface facing out. Throw this little guy on, and we're going to hang on to the piston so it doesn't slap around and damage the piston. 35 foot-pounds, I guess. Well, there you go. That is the internals on the right-hand side of your KX125. Good job. Next is clutch. Alright, so what we're going to do here is clutch assembly. This is going to include the inner cover, and yeah, I'm going to start slapping her together. So right off the bat, don't forget your washer at the back, your sleeve, your two bearings for your, some of my hair, your two bearings for your clutch. So next goes on the basket. If you have any kind of, I guess it'd be notching on the side, you want to, there's some silicone on there still. You want to file that down like what's been done here. Quite a bit's been taken off. Didn't want to go too much because you don't want to risk integrity, plus, you know, just don't want to take off too much. So this guy is going to go on. Oh yeah, I got the friction disc soaking in tranny oil for the past 24 hours. A little bit longer actually. And we're going to set him in place. Should ride with your Kickstarter idler gear and your crankshaft gear. So everything's moving together, everything's moving fine. And next, after that, you're going to have your spacer washer, this guy, meow. And then after that will be your inner hub. So put him on nice and tight. He gets this washer. Wait, is that right? Yes, that's right. He gets that washer, rides on the splines right there, and then it's got this goofy guy that'll auto tighten on, which I did not get the socket for. Alright, 27mm socket. I'm going to put a little red Loctite on this because I don't entirely trust just this nut holding it in place. Just a drop. That's all I put on there. A little drop. Thread him on a little ways. And then we're going to have to hold this basket. You could get that special tool. Or just hold that and buzz them down. You can also make a special tool. If you replace your clutch pack here, you could take a steel and friction disc, put your drill 2 holes in your friction disc, or drill 2 holes in your steel disc, whichever you want. Put the other one on, just hit it with some oh my goodness, I'm at a loss now. With your center punch, you can hit it with your center punch, finish drilling 2 holes through there, bolt them together, and put them in here, and you'll have your own special tool for your clutch, rather than buying that big vice grip style one. So now we've got it on this far. We could put the steel and friction discs on, but I don't want to lose too much oil, so I'm going to put the inner clutch cover on. This guy right here. Just make sure he's all nice and cleaned up. Governor's still in there. When you install him, you're going to be pushing down on the rod to keep him in place and lined up so he doesn't go nowhere. And this water pump will run on his gear, and your shift shaft will rest against there, starter shaft through there. So I'm going to have to get the gasket and the hardware for this, and I'll be right back. Alright, I got the inner clutch cover already. We just have the gasket resting on a few bolts, and we're just going to set it in place. This one is missing its dowel pins. Not a really big deal, but if you're missing your dowel pins, I highly recommend replacing them. So, I'm going to kind of push down on this guy to keep the governor in place, and we're just going to set him on. Oh, this thing's going to get my way. So, line it up with the kickstart shaft. Kind of get him started. Link down on that guy. Something's not lining up right over here. Might take a little walking. Just a little bit of walking. Not a lot, a little. Just spun that guy to line up with the crankshaft teeth. There we go. Sets in place. Perfect. Alright, and then we're just going to send him in with this fore end just a little bit, just to hold it in place. Not bury them all the way, but get them started. And then I'm going to get the other guy started. Last one. Alright, so just your normal star pattern. So we'll do that guy first, and then his bottom buddy, and then we're going to come over here to that missing one. Where'd he go? We'll get back to that guy. It's probably with the rest of the water pump. Not a big deal. It's not silicone, it's a paper gasket. It'll be alright. Just send it, whatever. But now we can start putting the clutch pack together. I have a rag underneath here. Have our juicy wet friction discs, and better get the steel discs over yonder, easily accessible. And now your steel discs are going to have a sharp edge to them. A rounded edge, sharp edge. It doesn't matter which way you face it, so long as they all face the same direction. Just a rule of thumb. So the way this is going to go is, of course, friction disc, and then steel disc. I'm putting the sharp edge facing inward, apparently. And this is the old clutch pack, not a new one. They opted to just try this out and see if it works because they're on a budget. Not my personal machine. Just one right after the other. Alright, so we got our friction steel disc or clutch pack installed. You will have a little overhang because there is like a recess on the pressure plate. This one's got some slight damage to it. Not too bad though. Should still be usable. But if it were mine, this would have got a whole new clutch build going together. But just clean up my oil mess real quick, and we won't be putting this guy on yet. Okay, we have this guy to install, our cam, and our rod. So I'm just going to dip the end of that in some tranny oil, kind of get it facing that direction where it'll be against the rod. And then you send your rod through, and you're going to hang on to them, and make sure when you turn the cam, it pushes out on the rod. Okay, you can just spin it until you fall into that little groove, or it's going to push it. And then you have this little guy who goes on there, and he goes on this way. He goes on this way, like that. Make sure you have your bearing in your pressure plate, and it should sit nice and tight. no play in the clutch pack when you push down on it. Alright, I guess second to last is after you get the pressure plate on, springs, and then your bolts. These ones don't go to this machine, but you know, they'll work. I was missing one out of the puddle of parts that came with this machine, so I found some that will work. And we're just going to send them in with the impact. Ta-da! And it's going to be hard. Yep, going to need that extra leverage from the cable and the lever, but there you go. We have our clutch pack all together. And now for the last thing, didn't mean to bump you, my bad. We have this guy. So you want to make sure you have your pins in, the top and the bottom one. Whoops. Just set this on there. Don't want to stay. That sucks. Just kind of like stay just a little bit for me at least. And then our outer clutch cover is going on. Just start with these two to help get the gasket lined up where it needs to go. Nice, real nice. Pain in the ass gasket. Just get them started. Maybe I should have ran a tap down these. They got kind of a hard start at the beginning. I think it's because they used silicone to seal it last time and not the correct gasket. But yeah, make sure your sealing surfaces are clean as usual or normal, or else you're going to have a leak. Ta-da! There you go. Clutch done. Oh yeah. Good job. Next for me is water pump and then magneto.